early on, maybe 8, 7, 6 years ago, when we approached an airline speaking about digitization and not as an IT project, right? But it's really strategy. You have to enable in your entire team. You have to have the right sponsor at the executive level. It needs to be sitting at the core, because digitization is not an IT project, first of all. I love the way that people talk about digitization as if it is a next door neighbor. It's really not, because you think about this from other industries' perspective or experiences, yeah? It's a reflection of that company when it comes to their own life cycle, as well as that market, right? So everything needs to fall into the right place for digitization to happen. So what does digitization mean? It really means that a business is ready to open up its inventory, yeah? Instead of relying on multiple layers of resellers who have minimum guarantee revenue, right? So what I have seen here when I come into Freightos, and I know that Asia is not an easy market, believe me, because I've been working for foreign companies for Asia markets for 20 plus years. One of my CEO who used to guide me and said that, Joyce, be simple and always. Don't be complicated and sometimes. Oh my God, our markets, Asia Pacific as well as Middle East, is a mixture of complicated and sometimes. It's a very little consistency. There is really it's nothing even similar to the markets of Europe and America. Why? Because the markets of Europe and America have gone through 20 plus years of evolution, right? From in the beginning, relying on multiple layers of distribution network, master loaders, resellers, working on minimum guarantee revenue, all the way to taking the risk of opening up your inventory or capacity, and then to embracing new markets, and then getting new customers, right? That is them. In our markets, either it is a foreign-based airline coming to Asia and Middle East, or a Asia or Middle East headquarter airline going to a different region. They still face the same thing, which is how do we minimize risk, versus in the other market is how do we maximize yield. Totally different mentality. So the narrative that we build at Freightos and WebCargo just didn't, and still probably partially don't work for our markets. So we have to change the way we guide and speak to and partner with the airline, right? So drop that sexy talk of multi-channels and digitization, yield maximization, and dynamic pricing. It's unthinkable. It's unimaginable. Even till today, dropping the same topics, you get no response from the audience. So what do? We started from the basic, which is it's an efficiency play. It's improving efficiency. It's making customer happy. It's keeping customer at the center of what we do. It's by enabling them. As soon as we change the narrative and also guiding the airlines to understand that we are not selling you a piece of software. That's not what we are not aiming for. We are aiming for a evolution. And we need you to take a hard look at all your markets and think about which markets, we mean origins, destinations, lanes, customers are good for digitization. And we can work with you lane by lane, country by country, market and market. So that's how we got started. 8 years ago, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, we tried that continuously. And today I'm very happy to say that almost all the major carriers that have some kind of digital capability are partners with us. Some are even exclusive. So it's a very long road into where we are today. It may take maybe the European colleagues or US colleagues to maybe 2-3 quarters to do what we do in 2, 3, 4 years, but we're getting better and getting there. It's just different. It has to be different narrative. You need to speak to the reality of the airline in a practical term, and also kind of a consultative approach as to what are the things, tangible things that you can work on as step 1, 2, 3, and then we can talk about digitization. I think that the freight forwarders in the markets, our bigger markets like India or China, are easily the most hardworking people. Because imagine the type of communications and also data entry that they had to do. I recall that my first visit to Sinotrans hub in Hangzhou, the operations specialist showed me her screen. It's easily 10, 20 different systems screen, and she was just copying, paste, and all the paperwork on her desk. That was 8 years ago. And that's the world of their own. So if you look at the supply side, the ocean carriers are not necessarily digitized. In fact, a lot of them are not digitized. When we say digitization, we are talking about the ability to give real-time rates, capacity-backed rates, and different transportation options real-time, like air, right? So trucking, air, everything, right, on the supply side, right? Making it very easy for the freight forwarder to pick and choose and to be able to give that intelligence to the customers as they should. But the supply side is not helping because they're not digitizing. They are now embracing API. In fact, I recall 3 years ago, it's not too long ago, right? One of the ocean carriers told me that there's absolutely no need for API. EDI worked just fine. So what I see in China is that there's a tier of forwarders who want to control their destiny. So they start doing a lot of data entry, building their inventory, and meaning their databases for all shipping options. They become the digitized layer, and they become the digitized seller, right? Because they are still calling the ocean carriers, the airlines, they're still emailing, WeChatting to get the rates, but they put it in their own depository or system. And then they are able to control all their capacity. And then they are able to service the other freight forwarders, the federal agents or shippers in a smarter way. We have seen that change. So it also seems to us in a very loud way, which is we need the freight forwarders to take a hard look on the reality today. Yeah? The ocean carriers, the airliners, you cannot sit there and think someday they will be digitizing themselves and then I will be digitized. No, that is not necessarily the right approach. The right approach may be that a freight forwarder take a hard look on the reality and think what they can do. And China has a lot of different opportunities, right? Because they are easily one of the largest e-commerce playground. So if they want to do e-commerce shipments, if they want to be part of the entire B2B2B, B2B2C e-commerce ecosystem, all the service providers need to digitize themselves. They have a very high awareness, so we have been working with and seeing a lot of freight forwarders who have the foresight, who have the vision, who also have the pressure to transform themselves. As someone who has been working in digitization for 20 plus years, I am promoting, selling, pitching this digitization as a solution, idea, strategy, doesn't matter. It's not because I work for Freightos, but it's bigger than Freightos. Why we say bigger than Freightos? Because it is the equalizer. Imagine how many people are waiting on the other side of the email, WeChat, WhatsApp, phone calls in every part of the world for something to be told or to be shared, meaning a quotation, a rate, or something, right? It is a tremendous waste of time and human resources, right? And these people, especially the Gen Z or even the much younger generation, what they are expecting at workplace is really just, everything should be just a click away. Click, and run a search, click, and then data, information, intelligence flow to them. I cannot bear to see these younger generations or especially when I go to Southeast Asia and South Asia, they can easily hire an army and they have to do every single day what they have to do. They do have to wait a lot of times for someone to share the information with them. Imagine if the data and all the information can be flown to them automatically. all these people can do something more important, more strategic, right? And lifting more weights, right? So I felt that the digitization is a very important equalizer, and airlines and ocean carriers really need to see it from that angle and start their digitization journey sooner than later. My team look after Asia Pacific and Middle East, always complicated, never easy markets. We managed to double ourselves year on year. The Q3 is finishing now, right? So we double ourselves. So it's this amazing growth. It's a great opportunity, and I just hope that we have more airlines and ocean carriers who can take a hard look at our realities today and help everybody out. Yeah.